What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to On Tap Bets. I'm your host, Joey Ricotta. Back again, short turnaround. Jack, I feel like I just saw you. With Jack Bushman here, we are going to finalize and give out our best bets for the PGA Championship, the second major of the year. This is going to be fun. We are excited. Jack, I think you're excited. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm pumped. I've been pumped really since the Byron Nelson wrapped up on Sunday. It was a great Sunday stretch. A lot of guys in contention coming down to the wire. Really got me that extra juice flowing for major week here at the PGA Championship. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to roll, ready to see everyone tee off tomorrow morning. Tiger Woods is golfing with Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth. There's the top three players all in the world teeing off tomorrow as well, and Jon Rahm, Colin Morikawa, and of course our boy who keeps burning us, Scotty Scheffler. So it's going to be fun to watch for sure. And I'm excited to see these guys go at this tough task that's going to be Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma tomorrow, because I think it's going to play pretty tricky. It's going to be long, could be windy, and it's going to make things difficult, and that's going to make the cream rise to the top, I really do believe. So, yeah, I'm pumped for it, man. Usually, like I talked about yesterday, the PGA Championship usually doesn't hit me like Augusta does, or like the U.S. Open or even the British Open, I would say. But this year, I don't know why. I'm just feeling extra juiced about it. So I'm ready for everything to get going tomorrow, dude.
I'm ready too, man. I mean, you talked about those groupings. Less than 24 hours away, we're going to see John Daly opening us up in the opening group. I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
She's probably going to shoot 200 over, but it's still going to be must-see TV.
Look, it's still John Daly, right? It'll still be fun. I know we're not tuning in to necessarily, and nobody should be betting on John Daly. Right? I don't even know where you find his odds at. I have not looked at any of his odds. Let's just put that out there. We are not advising anyone to bet on John Daly. But, hey, it'll be fun. He's kicking it off in the opening group. Yeah, man, I am super excited. I'm pumped up to get there. We're going to keep this thing somewhat short because we did a full episode yesterday. If anyone wants to check that out, it was a full preview. Jack broke down the course. We went through some of our favorite bets, or like guys that we were interested in betting on, and then reasons why. Like we talked about a lot of different reasons why and different strategies, what some of the odds were yesterday. Go ahead and check that out on YouTube if you didn't get a chance to yesterday. But today, we are finalizing things. These are our best bets. These are what we're most confident in. We've got a lot of different routes that we could take. Jack, give me your 20-1 odds. Let's just kick it off. I'm not wasting any time. I want your 20-1 odds or lower, like the favorite section, for your outright winner.
Yeah, and kind of interestingly, something that we were talking about before recording the show, doing some research yesterday, I saw that since 2012, there have only been two winners of the PGA Championship with over 35-1 odds. One of those, of course, was Phil Mickelson last year when he won at 50 years old on Kiowa Island, which was an amazing feat. Sadly, of course, he's not going to be there this week to defend his title. And the other time was Jimmy Walker back in 2016 when he was 125-1. Besides that, it's been 35-1 or below as the winner of the PGA Championship. So I really am starring the top of this betting board because there are a lot of good players there. Obviously, that goes without saying. You got to be a little bit picky. You can't take everybody, but I am going to be taking a decent few of these guys that are near the top, so to speak. And there's a couple of guys that I'm taking below 20-1. And this one, I know it's going to give you a good laugh, Joey, but I am taking Scotty Scheffler at 12-1. I'm doing it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Really?
I think that sets up too well. He's the hottest player in the world. He's the best player on tour. He knows this course. It's not a secret. He's talked about how it's one of his favorite places to play. Played college golf at Texas. This is Big 12 country. There's a lot of Big 12 golfers that are going to be part of this tournament. Scotty had a really good practice round. I believe he shot 64. He's just been absolutely rolling. And I think more so than that even is how good his all-around game has been. Because as I said on the show yesterday, which again, if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely go take the time to do so because we went through a full preview. I broke down the course. We went through way more guys' names than we're going to today. Basically broke down the entire field below 50-1. These are a little bit tougher ones to talk about, all the long shots and whatnot. But yeah, definitely go check out that episode if you want some more insight on the PGA Championship, especially if you're going to be betting on it, because you want as much knowledge as possible if you're going to be throwing your money down. I think that's usually how it works, right? But yeah.
Oh, and just not to cut you off real fast, Jack, I also want to point people, yesterday I did not do a good job of doing this, point people to the On Tap Golf Twitter page, and check out all the feed. You're handling that side of things, obviously. But you get a lot of nuggets. You get articles at ontapsportsnet.com. Check out all the golf content. I mean, you're pumping out some excellent stuff, and all the nuggets are important here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, good sir. But yeah, definitely be sure to follow On Tap Golf, because I'm going to be live tweeting throughout the entire weekend. I'm going to be sitting back, drinking brews, feet up. I'm going to be living lavish in my room, not really living lavish, but I'm going to be having the time of my life, I'll tell you that, because when it's major season, there's nothing I love more than watching golf all day, every day. So definitely be sure to go check out On Tap Golf. Go give it a follow. Go show some support, please. We'd all greatly appreciate it. But yeah, back to Scotty Scheffler, man. I got to take him. He's burned me too long. This course fits too well. And as I was saying, he has a really good all-around game. Everything is working well for him right now. And as I said on the show yesterday, it just seems like he doesn't hit two bad shots in a row. I'm going to knock on wood when I say that. But every time, seemingly, when we saw him in trouble at Augusta, aka the 18th hole on Saturday, he hits it into the trees. He has to drop. He's hitting his third shot from 200 plus yards out. It's not an easy green to hit, and he hit an absolute rocket and then ended up getting up and down to save bogey. Like, that type of save really shows how good his all-around game is right now. So I know at the top of the leaderboard, or at the top of the betting board, I should say, it's tough because the odds aren't great. But if I get burned by Scotty Scheffler, I'm just going to keep kicking myself. And more so than that, more so than like fearing of missing out, I just think it sets up really well for him. So I am going to be on Scotty Scheffler. The other one I'm going to be on, it's Jon Rahm. I was debating between these two guys, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to take both of them because they're both all-around great players. I said yesterday, Jon Rahm, I don't think he necessarily needed that win down in Mexico in order to have the proper confidence coming into this tournament, but I do think it helps, that he managed all those emotions. He went through all that stuff again before coming to the year's second major. And even when he was struggling, so to say, it still wasn't even really a struggle for Jon Rahm. He just wasn't making putts. Now we've seen the putter come back, and he has the distance, which I think is going to be a big factor this week as well. He's a good iron player, great all-around game. I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm as my two players below 20-1. Even though there are a lot of enticing names surrounding him, I think those two are the best all-around players, and that's kind of the area that I'm personally going to target this week, Joey.
I can't fault you. You left me a little bit speechless with the Scotty Scheffler thing, though. But all your reasoning makes a ton of sense. And I mean, could I see him winning this week? Absolutely. It is fear of missing out for me because I'm not going to bet him because my strategy. I'm going a little bit more contrarian this week, especially given the stat that you provided about the winners historically. But so the contrarian DFS player in me is coming out this week, and I'm going a little bit above the board, or a little bit further down the board, I should say. But, it's one of those things where Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, I expect them to be in it the entire time. I expect them to be right around the leaderboard, or right at the top of the leaderboard most of this tournament. So, yeah, am I afraid they're going to win? Absolutely, and I don't blame you. Why pick and choose between the two? Just bet on both of them if that's what you're going to do. So I actually really like that strategy a lot. But
do you have any bets below 20-1? Did you get there at all, or are you passing on that section?
I passed on all of it.
That's fair. I understand.
I passed on all of it. I did. If I were going to do it, it would have been those two guys, though. Those are the two guys that I was looking at the most in that section. Now we go above. Let's go above to 20-1 to 50-1, I believe it was. We talked about that section. The guy I started with was Jordan Spieth. 20-1 at BetMGM is what I found it at. That's where I grabbed it. It's still there. Most books, though, as we talked about on yesterday's show, have moved this number down. You can't find it at many books. I'm not sure if this is the best price that you can get it at as we speak, as we sit here live, but it's one of the best prices, if not the best. So I just want to see the Grand Slam, man. Maybe I'm an idiot here, but he's been golfing really well. He's going to show up. He's going to show up for this major. I mean, we were on him for the Masters, and that didn't turn out so well. There's no way that he goes. There's no way that he goes 2 majors here in a row without putting up somewhat of a fight, at least being in the hunt. I think if I'm willing to do it at this price, it's a bad price. Like, I'm just going to say that 20-1 is still a bad price for Jordan Spieth. But if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to lay this kind of, these lower odds, whatever you want to call it, I want to be a guy that I want to win this week, and I want Jordan Spieth to win. So it's easy to root for. That's my reasoning. That's my narrative. It might be dumb. It might not be the best way to go, and I'm not advising people necessarily to go ahead and just hammer your money on 20-1 Jordan Spieth, because I don't think it's a great number. But I could easily see him winning. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, and he's been playing absolutely lights out for the last month. The driver all of a sudden is back. He's hitting the driver better than we've seen Spieth in years, seemingly. Came really close to winning, of course, last week in Texas. Fell a little short, came up with a second-place finish, but he also won the RBC not that long ago as well in his last time out before that. He's always played well at these, not even just majors, he plays those well in general, but PGA Championships, he has a pretty good track record, except a couple years there where he wasn't the same Jordan Spieth as he is now once again. So I do like Jordan Spieth. This is the one area I have 3 guys that are actually right there at 20-1 that I'm still debating, and I'm only going to take one of them. This is the one thing that I haven't locked in yet, because Jordan Spieth at 20, I'm not going to bet him anywhere else but 20. Obviously, that's kind of goes without say. If you're shopping at books, you're going to take the next number. That only makes sense. But I'm stuck in between him, Xander Schauffele, and Hideki Matsuyama. All I find at right around 20-1. Xander had a absolutely amazing run last week at Byron Nelson. He made the cut on the number and then found himself at the top of the leaderboard after I think he went 50 holes without shooting a bogey. Like he was on an absolute tear there, trending in the right direction. He won Zurich not that long ago with Patrick Cantlay. And then for Hideki, I feel like he has a really good track record at this PGA Championship. He hasn't been as consistent as he was earlier on in the season when he won it at the Zozo. That was still back in 2021. And then he came out and won in Hawaii at the second event of the year, the Sony Open. He hasn't been the same player, but we saw flashes of it in that Sunday round last week as well. I'm personally probably leaning a little bit more towards Xander or Spieth, but that's basically the last decision that I have to make on my betting board. But moving down a little bit, my 25 to 50-1 range as we go down a little bit. I'm taking Patrick Cantlay. I found him at 25-1. Good all-around game, solid player. I really like Patrick Cantlay. I think he's heading in the right direction as the majors are starting to pick up. I really like Patrick Cantlay. I'm going to go there. I'm also going to go with Dustin Johnson at 35-1. Absolute nuker of the golf ball. That goes without say. And I just think 35-1, even though he hasn't been per se the same DJ here in the last year or so, I still think he's one of those guys that can turn it on and nobody can catch him. And we've seen that happen in the past plenty of times and not all that long ago, even though it has been a cold spell. Let's not forget, take it back a year and a half ago, and DJ was by far the best player in the world. He was on an absolute heater, and when he gets rolling, no one can really stop him. So I just personally think 35-1 is too big of a number for a guy who can absolutely pound driver off the tee, as I've talked about a few times and in the show yesterday. Again, something you're going to want to go and watch, because these little nuggets like this, they're going to matter at a course that's going to play as difficult as Southern Hills. DJ can drive it just about as far as anybody can on tour. Had a 420-yard drive about a month ago, which is just absolutely bonkers to think about.
So he can cut it through that wind for sure. And it wasn't that long ago where he was like plus 1,100 in that range. Like he was in the John Rahm territory.
Right.
So I agree with you on this price.
I'm taking him 35-1. That's how it's it's how it's got to be at that number. Like, I can't miss out on a DJ 35-1. You don't see those very often. And this is a tournament where, again, I think at a difficult course like this, the best players in the world are going to be the ones at the top of the leaderboard. And I think Dustin Johnson is very capable of doing that. My last bet at 50-1, I got Sam Burns. I really like this number for Sam Burns. Quietly, I keep saying quietly with Sam Burns because I feel like he's not getting the hype that he deserves for winning 2 times this year. Like, we've seen Sam Burns win on difficult tracks. Like, he won the Valspar. It's a very difficult track. I know he won the Sanderson Farms during the swing season where the field wasn't exactly as strong, but Sam Burns can play on these difficult courses. So I took him 50-1. I think that's too big of a number for his potential upside. So that's where I have rounding out my 20 to 50-1 bets this week, Joey. What do you got between 20 and 50? Because I know that might be an area for you that you're probably targeting a little bit more since you missed out, or not missed out, since you passed on the top of the betting board.
It's actually not, but I'm right outside of it. So
Okay.
I guess like 50-1. Like, I was considering some guys though in this range. I will say that. I mean, Hideki was a guy that I was kind of looking at between that 20 to 50 range, but and you make a lot of great points about DJ. You know, I could easily see myself potentially getting there, but I haven't yet. The guy that and I know we're finalizing things, but that's just, you know, we're still debating and wavering on some of these guys.
100%.
Nonetheless, Brooks 55-1 on DraftKings just seems like too good of a price to me. I mean, he's coming to play a major. He's, like you said, pre-show major hunting. Withdrew from Byron Nelson. Obviously, he's got the hip injury, but I think this is a case where he's just more focused on this tournament where he could have went last week, but it's Byron Nelson. Like, he doesn't care about that. He's just focused on one thing and one thing only at this point, it feels like, which are majors. And his rival withdrew. You know, Bryson, he withdrew with an injury. So, I mean, what better way to stick it to your rival than to go out there and just absolutely shove and just take down a tournament, take down a major. Bryson would be at home just kind of kicking himself, I feel like. So, yeah, I'm going with Brooks 55-1.
Yeah, I had my eye on Brooks at that 55-1 again for what he's done in the past at majors. Look, he's a big game hunter, and he said himself he doesn't really care about any other tournaments except for these. And I completely understand that because these certainly mean the most out of the entire season. And he's unbelievable at majors. I think he's 86 under at majors since 2017 or 2018. And the next closest is DJ at like -26. Like, Brooks is the guy at majors. Now, I know the narrative around him is a little bit more different than it's been in years past, considering that he hasn't really shown any flashes in the last handful of months. But this is what he's been prepping for, and you know that deep down a fire's burning inside of him that he hasn't shown that he's still one of the top golfers in the world in quite a while. So I was intrigued by Brooks 55-1, but I actually have a sort of a prop with Brooks that I'm going to be taking that we'll talk about a little bit later. But want to move on to some of our longer shot picks for this week above 50-1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm kind of like right outside of that range here with the 60-1. I'm going for a lot of the reasons you mentioned yesterday. I'm tailing you on a pick. So why don't you just go ahead and open us up with the guy I'm thinking about, because you know who it is.
Yeah, it's my boy Daniel Berger, baby, who cashed me a fat ticket when golf returned from the COVID pause at the Memorial in 2020. Nothing like it. Nice $1,350 from Daniel Berger. How you doing? He'll forever be my boy. But I know that he withdrew a couple of weeks back, and that may leave people concerned. But if you go back a little bit prior to that, there were a lot of tournaments that he was right there in. When Sepp Straka won, I think it was – oh, man, I'm going to have to pull it up because it's going to drive me crazy now. What did Sepp Straka win? He won the Honda. He won the Honda Classic, the initial event that kicked off the Florida swing. Daniel Berger was there in the mix until he put the ball in the drink on, I think it was 17 or 18, that ruined his chances of winning. The Players' Championship, he literally did the exact same thing. He was in contention, hit it into the water on 16 before the Island par 3. So he's been right around hovering in contention. And I think 60-1 is just too big of a number for me to pass on. I know I have some bias to Daniel Berger, and I hope all you people out there understand that. There's a good reason to it. But Daniel Berger is still a top tier player. He's not a top 10 player in the world, but he's darn near close when he's at his best. And all across the board, a really solid player, someone who gains strokes off the tee because he finds a lot of fairways, not necessarily a bomber, but leaves himself in good position. He's good with his irons, is really solid around the greens, amazing from the sand, and he can also putt. And again, that's the narrative that I'm kind of having this week, is the good all-around players. And seeing him, listed on some sports books being surrounded by, like, Matt Kuchar has better odds than Daniel Berger at some places. Like, give me a freaking break. Like, I'm taking Daniel Berger. Not to say that Matt Kuchar, he's been golfing really well here late, but Daniel Berger is a better player than Matt Kuchar. Like, come on now. So I think 60-1, it just caught my eye. It is too big of a number to pass on, and I'm going to be taking Daniel Berger. We don't got to get too much into my boy Corey Connors. That's definitely a FOMO bet. I've been betting Corey Connors for months. He's been popping, so close to winning, just hasn't happened yet. But probably a small unit bet on Corey Connors just because I'm.
I feel like I pushed you over the edge before we hopped on here.
You definitely did.
You needed to do that though. Like, you can't be on him as many weeks as you have been and just not at least put like $1 on him. You have to.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I want to keep things thin here because, again, the narrative that I'm personally going with a little bit is I've seen what type of players usually win this event in particular. So I want to be a little bit sparse down here. So that was my initial reasoning of passing on Corey Connors. But then Joey, behind the scenes before the show, was like, "You're not going to bet Corey Connors." I'm like, "You're right. I am going to bet Corey Connors. I can't miss out on that. I love burning money as Corey Connors doesn't win golf tournaments, becomes oh so close. But the last two long shots I got a 90-1 on Mito Pereira, but I honestly might cash out on it because I know there's bigger numbers out there, and I took it too early. And I know you got a really good Mito number personally, so that kind of led me to believe that I'm going to find something better out there. And the last one I got, it's way down there in comparison to some of these guys, but 250-1 Luke List. Won a difficult Farmers Insurance earlier in the year. I know he hasn't been great since, but the upside, that's what we're betting on. We're betting on these players playing their best. And I know what Luke List can do at his best. And I think 250-1 it's almost disrespectful, honestly, to Luke List. Like, that's probably as far down as I'm going to go. Again, I want to be sparse with this, but 250-1 really caught my eye. So rounding out my bet slip this week is going to be Luke List at 250-1. What do you got in this range, Joey?
I love it. That's, Luke List is somebody who I might actually be on too as well, just to tail you there. But Max Homa, 66-1 for reasons we talked about yesterday. He's playing some good golf right now. Won Wells Fargo earlier in the month, won at Fortinet, 16th in strokes gained off the tee. He's good with the approach. Strokes gained total overall, he's really good. So I like that 66-1 number I found on a book. Mito Pereira, I know you talked about the price that I got him at, 160-1 on a book, but right now I still find it if I'm looking at 150-1. So that's where I still like that number. I think that number's fine for reasons I mentioned yesterday. I mean, he's 15th in scrambling percentage, only played one major, but I mean, I just think he can find some sex. We'll see what I'm talking about with the mixing up of the words. Success. Hope he doesn't suck though. T17 of Byron Nelson. That's not a hard course like you talked about, but it's recent form. So I like the recent form here, and I think that maybe he runs into one. I mean, at this number, I think he has upside. So that's why I like him there. But yeah, not like don't throw a ton of coin on this. These are long shot bets.
Go throw $25 on Mito at plus 160 and go swim in your cash when he wins.
Oh, jeez, man. You will absolutely take another Vegas trip if that's the case, if you're doing that, Jack. But yeah, so prop bets. We need to get into some prop bets. Let's start off with the man himself, the legend, the best golfer of all time, Tiger Woods. To make the cut, minus 121, Bet Rivers. I think it's just he's going to make the cut. I think he's going to start out fine and then, probably tail out towards the end. I don't see him really winning this. I don't think he has that in him right now. I mean, of course, he might have it in him, but I just don't like going up and down these hills here at this track. I don't think that's going to be good for him in the long run. So the stamina, I don't think is quite there. But to make the cut, -121, I like that.
Dude, I'm still shaking my head at that -121. What is that? Just make it 120. 121? Is it like 25 cents in a bet? That's ridiculous to me. But yeah, if you want to get a piece of Tiger, you're a psycho in all the best ways if you're betting Tiger 65-1. Like I wish you luck, but man, that's asking for so much out of Tiger in his second event back from almost losing his leg. And it was kind of funny because Rory was talking about this yesterday when the grouping got announced. Of course, he's golfing with or paired with Rory and Jordan Spieth. But Rory was kind of laughing, saying he's picked the two most difficult courses to come back and play in Augusta National, which of course is filled with slopes and hills, and then Southern Hills, which obviously kind of speaks for itself there. But I do like Tiger to make the cut here. And throughout the week, I've seen a lot of updates from golf reporters that he's looking a lot more comfortable and certainly walking less gingerly than he was 6 weeks ago back at the Masters. So I've heard a lot of encouraging reports. I'm taking Tiger to make the cut. Hopefully we can just start taking these whenever Tiger plays, and he'll just keep cashing for us because it's a double whammy. We win money, and everybody loves seeing Tiger Woods golf well. So hopefully that's a streak that we can get on here. I already got Tiger in to make the cut. Is that your only miss the cut prop that you have? Because that's the only one that I have personally.
Yeah, to make and miss the cut, that's my only one. And I do have a head-to-head that I like. Do you have any head-to-heads?
I don't, but I have a couple. I have a top 20. I have 2 top 40s, and I have 1 nationality prop that I personally like. What's your head-to-head that you got?
The head-to-head I got is Keegan Bradley over Tyrrell Hatton at +120 on DK.
Sad bringing up bad memories about Keegan Bradley nearly winning me a lot of money before choking at Wells Fargo.
I know.
He's been playing great. He's been playing great. Keegan's been playing awesome.
And that's the thing. He's been golfing well. 8 of 9 cuts he's made. He's almost had 2 wins, like you said, in tough conditions on tough tracks. He projects better, too. If I'm looking at projections, he projects better than Hatton as far as his floor goes, his cut probability to make the cut. So I'll grab this head-to-head at plus money. Easy bet for me. It's just a positive EV bet is what I like to call it. So I'm going to go with Keegan Bradley over Hatton.
Tyrrell's been an absolute wild man for the last few months. I don't know if you saw any of the clips of him at Augusta, but in just classic Tyrrell Hatton fashion, he's screaming, he's throwing his clubs all around. The dude's an absolute hothead, and it's so fun to watch when he's not playing well, sadly. But yeah, he hasn't been golfing all that great here as of late. So I wouldn't mind that sort of head-to-head bet. Like Keegan's been playing really, really well. He's been on the cusp a couple of times. Tyrrell's heading in kind of the other direction, kind of just hovering around, and hasn't been the same player that he was pre-COVID-19. So that definitely sounds enticing. You got any top 20 bets that you saw at all or anything? Because I got one in top 20 that I got.
Hit me with it because I don't have any top 20s. I just have top 40s right now.
I got Matt Fitzpatrick plus 200 top 20. And listen, if you want to talk about a good all-around game, someone who can grind it out and loves playing these difficult type courses, that's literally Matt Fitzpatrick to a T. And we've seen him play really well here late. He had a great push at the Wells Fargo where he wound up in a T-second, tied for second with Keegan Bradley as well. And he's someone who, on these difficult type courses, he might not make a ton of birdies. That's not necessarily his game. But in a week like this, par is going to be your friend. And Matt Fitzpatrick is one of the best in the world at getting up and down from all areas and saving par. And he usually plays difficult tracks like the majors well. So I think plus 200, double your money there for Matt Fitzpatrick. Just to come inside the top 20 isn't asking all that much for a player of his caliber.
I don't mind that at all. That might be something I have to look into there. That's sound reasoning to plus 200. I mean, it's a nice little bet to get top 20. I don't think he's going to win this tournament, obviously, but top 20, that's pretty reasonable. Not too crazy to ask. So we were talking a little bit about nationality props too. I guess I should hit you with my top 40s.
Yeah, let's hear them.
I gave these reasons out yesterday, so I'm not going to really go too in depth with it because I know we want to keep this somewhat brief. Max Homa top 40 plus 110 on DK seems like a good price to me. I'm in on him to win the tournament, so why not top 40? Alex Noren top 40 plus 140 on DK. If that's still the same price, I love that. Even if it's like down to plus 125, I think he does go ahead and get a top 40. Good form, made 8 straight cuts, including 4 finishes of T12 or better in the past 3 months. So I like Alex Noren. Louis. You were talking about him yesterday. It kind of had me thinking, I'm like, why am I not looking at him to win this tournament? He always seems to do well on these tough tracks, like you were saying yesterday. So plus 110 for a top 40, I don't think that's crazy. I think he could finish top 40, especially if you're going to give me the plus money. I know I talk about this a lot, but it's getting top 40 is not too difficult. I know there's a lot of golfers in this tournament, but Louis is one of the better golfers, and he could easily even win the tournament or be up in the top 10. So just for him to get top 40, I like that. Those are my top 40 bets as it stands right now. And then we have the nationality props. You said you had one that you really liked. Jack, hit me with it.
Yeah, the one nationality prop that really stood out to me was Hideki Matsuyama plus 125 for the top Asian. And just looking at the group that he's in there with, Siwoo Kim, absolutely volatile, has a terrible track record at the PGA Championship. He's got the next best odds. I definitely think Hideki's in line to play better and fare better than Siwoo Kim will this week. And other than that, it's, KH Lee, who, did just win last week at the Byron Nelson, but that's his course. He's won there back-to-back years. They call him TPC KH Lee for a reason. Is this a TPC course, Joey? No, it's not. So we're not taking KH Lee. I just think Hideki by far is the best player in this group. He plays well at major tournaments. Plus 125 plus money to be in this group, I thought really caught my eye. So that's the one nationality prop that I'm going to. Do you have any other nationality props that you're going to be on?
Yeah, I really like that one a lot. And I went with top Canadian and I went with top Austrian. So there's 2 of them that I like here. One of them might surprise people because it's basically like a head-to-head with the top Austrian. You got Bernd, Wiesberger, and Sepp Straka. So a lot of people probably would go with Straka here. I'm going with Bernd. Let's feel the Bernd. Hopefully he can get his putter rolling here over Sepp Straka, plus 100 on DK. Haven't seen much of him on the tour, but we have seen Sepp Straka T73 at Byron Nelson, caught in each of the 2 prior events, Wells Fargo and at Zurich Classic, losing strokes on approach, around the green, tee to green. I think Bernd, if he could putt decently, he should be able to knock him off. And that's kind of the question because I was looking at his putting stuff. We were both looking at his putting numbers over there. It's not good. It's not great. So we'll see what he can do here. But small sample, he's been pretty decent on the PGA Tour. So I like Bernd to at least beat Sepp Straka. I know he can be hit or miss, but so that's kind of my reasoning behind Straka. If he's in a funk, he can be beat. Top Canadian player, this is like a 3-ball bet. Corey Connors, your boy, minus 120 over Adam Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes. So great ball striker. The putter's coming along, plays well on tough courses. I mean, Hadwin, he can scramble. He's 3 top 10 finishes in those last 2 months. So that scares me a little bit. But I need some exposure to your boy, Corey Connors. Like you've talked me into him so many times. And that's why I said, I'm like, there's no way that you can't bet on him to win. And he's been really good. Like eventually it's all going to come through, but I think he can easily beat Adam Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes here. Top Canadian, minus 125. I'll lay the juice there. Those are my nationality props.
I got two more props. My final two props that I'm going to take this week. I haven't placed them yet, but I'm going to be placing them, and they're both first round leaders, Joey. They're both at the same odds, interestingly enough. I'm going to take Louis Oosthuizen, 75-1 first round leader. Look, you're going to know right from the get-go if Louis is going to be feeling good this week or not, because Thursday and Friday in majors, that's really when he pops. It's the weekends that have given him the hard part, aka why he only has one major championship win in his career. He actually has the grand slam of second place finishes at major championships. Like, there could be a totally different narrative around Louis Oosthuizen's career. He could have one heck of a stacked resume if he just pulled out some of those wins. I know he had to withdraw from the Masters. He's been dealing with injury a little bit. There's rumors of him potentially going to LIV golf as well. But I think if he's popping, this is the time for him to do it. Those Thursday and Friday rounds have really been where he's played the best. 75-1 for Louis. I'm taking that. And the other one I kind of hinted to a little bit earlier, I'm going to be passing on Brooks Koepka 55-1 to win the tournament, but I'm going to be on him 75-1 as first round leader. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe he's been the first round leader at the PGA Championship 3 times since 2018. And of course, he won this tournament back-to-back in 2018-19, came in a tie for second last year when Phil did the impossible. He was also the first round leader at Kiowa last year, and I literally wrote down in my notes on my phone, take Brooks Koepka first round leader 2022 PGA Championship. And that's another thing where if I just ignore myself from a year ago and it goes on to happen, I'm going to be digging myself a ditch. So I'm taking Brooks Koepka 75-1 first round leader, as well as Louis Oosthuizen 75-1. And that's what's actually going to round out my entire bet slip for the year's second major, Joey.
I love it. Yeah, I'm so excited, man. This is we ran a little bit longer because I feel like we are so excited. We found a lot of bets that we like, and we weren't expecting to find this many bets, I don't think, as of yesterday even. We were talking through the entire thing, and this is what we fell on. So I love it. I'm excited. Let's kick it off. Under 24 hours, John Daly, the first thing. Let's get it. Louis Ooh, first round leader. Brooks, first round leader. I like those. I'm betting on Brooks to win the thing, so I'm hoping that he can kind of just go ahead and finish it off. Just lead all the way through. That's fine. That'd be fine.
100%. Go wire to wire, Brooksy. I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to have a part of it if you do so.
And I'll know
about it.
I'll know very early on if Louis is going to be in the running for the top 40 too. Like you said, it's
100%.
He's got to start out hot. With that said, guys, we got to get out of here. We are On Tap Bets. You can find us on social media at On Tap Bets, and you can follow along. We've got all your Chicago sports needs, podcasts, articles, you name it, at ontapsportsnet.com and on social media at ontapsportsnet. Check out Jack and all of his content at On Tap Golf. He's been cranking out the golf stuff. And obviously check out all of that. But if you want to, we've been talking about a ton of bets. Go to Bet Rivers, sign up, deposit match up to $250. Promo code ONTAP. That's ONTAP promo code for $250 deposit match at betrivers.com. Check that out. Jack, what do you say we get out of here? At Jack Bushman 2. You can follow him on Twitter. You can follow me at Joey Knows Nothing. That's nothing without the G. Ends in IN because that stands for win, baby. We want to win some money. We got to get this money.
Some money so bad.
I know. And so does everybody else, hopefully, that's listening. Hopefully you found this, if not informative, entertaining, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to give you some sort of entertainment and help you win some money, because I don't want to win money by myself. Like, that's the thing. If I'm winning money, I want somebody else to do it with me. So, Jack, let's get it. Happy PGA Championship, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Joey.
Absolutely.